Here at Monza. In third place, Oscar Piastri. In second place, Lando Norris. And taking the 45th pole position of his Formula One career, our pole sitter, Max Verstappen. You said it yourself, Max. That's unbelievable. Just how special was that pole lap at the end of Q3?
It was good. It's always tough around here. Low downforce, easy to make mistakes on the braking or on entries because you have to commit, but with low downforce that's not always easy. Also, you know, the closing speeds in certain corners to hit the apex perfectly. But I think that final lap was was pretty decent, and to get pole here for us I think is big. It's not always been a good track for us, especially last year was quite a bit of a disaster. So this year much better, and very happy to be first.
You say pretty decent, Max. Was that your best quali lap around Monza ever?
I don't know. I mean, it was good. I don't even remember all my quali laps here. Is that a bad thing?
Look, you said yesterday that the car is a massive step forward over where it was here last year. Were you expecting it to be this good today?
I think we had a good start to the weekend, so that was nice. That has been different at times. It still felt like we were lacking something, and then I think in FP3 it was a little bit better. Still not where I wanted it to be, so then some final tweaks, and that then brought it a bit closer to what I liked. I don't think the car's ever going to be perfect around here just because of low downforce feeling anyway. But at least it allowed me to attack corners, have the rotation that I needed at times. And that's what you want.
Even after Q2, did you think an 18.7 would be possible?
It's difficult to say because I didn't really feel like the improvements were massive between Q1, Q2. Then you commit a bit more in Q3, but it has a lot of factors that come into play as well. With if you have a bit of toe or not. Sometimes you just get lucky as well. So it's difficult to say, but. At least it was good enough. So,
you nailed the one lap. What about the race? Do you think you've got the pace to keep these orange cars at bay?
Difficult to say. I think this season so far, the race pace has not always been great. So I hope that I can do something tomorrow. But I think anyway, it's been a great day for us. We've been competitive today. We'll try to do the best we can tomorrow. But of course, to stay here will be, I think, tough. But we'll see what we can do.
Very well done. Thank you for that, Max. Lando, let's come to you now. You had pole for a moment right at the end of Q3. How good was that lap? Did you think you'd done enough?
I'll say no, just because it was a pretty bad qualifying from my behalf. So I think it was the best lap I did in quali by like 6/10 or something. So impressive that I managed to improve so much, or probably impressive that I did such a bad job prior to that. But no, I think Max has been pretty good all weekend. I think also us as a team, since FP1 already, we found that we were not quite in as good of a rhythm and had the pace advantage that we've had the past few weekends. So of course we wanted P1, but I don't think we'd be disappointed to take a P2 either.
You say it was a bad quali. What were the issues today?
Just I was hitting every curb possible that I don't want to hit, and just locking up when I shouldn't lock up. So just not quite in the rhythm, and it's not that I've not been in the rhythm this weekend. I've felt like I've done some reasonable laps so far this weekend, and I felt like I had some good strengths here and there, but just couldn't click back into it come quali until the final lap. But that's also the only lap that I need to do it, so I'm happy that I did it in the end.
What about the long run pace? Even if Max beats you into turn one, do you think you've got the pace to at least keep him on his toes?
I would definitely want to expect that. Everyone knows that our race pace is probably a bigger strength than our quali pace. We've proven that many times. But like Max said, also they've improved a lot from last year. I think coming into the weekend, we probably didn't expect the Red Bull to be quite as good. But as soon as we did the first few runs, it was clear that they made some good steps comparing to last season. So We'll see. His race pace was good on Friday. It wasn't too dissimilar to ours, so time will tell.
All right, Lando, thank you for that. Well done today. Oscar, let's come to you now. Lando says it was a tricky one for him. How was it on your side of the garage?
It was okay. I feel like the Q1 was a little bit of a struggle, but then Q2 and Q3 I was pretty comfortable. And it was a solid lap without being amazing, but I think it's been clear for us anyway that the competition's been much tighter this weekend, and also with some unexpected teams and cars. So it's not a huge shock for us, but I felt like I managed it pretty well, just ultimately lacking a little bit at the end.
You say the competition's tighter this weekend. When the margins are this small, how much of a setback is it for you missing an FP1 as you did on Friday?
I mean, it's always hard to know how much it costs, but it's definitely not what you would choose to do. Obviously, it's in the rules, but I think there are worse tracks to miss for an FP1, so I don't really want to put too much of it down to that.
Okay. Lando also talked about rhythm. Were you able to find your rhythm in the car?
I would say yes. I think Q1 was a little bit tricky to get into the rhythm, but Q2 and Q3 I was pretty happy. Felt like I put in good laps that were clean and improved every lap I did. So there's a couple of corners that yes, I would probably like to do them again, but I think it's rare that you leave a qualifying session not having that feeling. So I'm pretty happy.
Okay, just a few words on the long run pace of the car. How confident are you going into the race tomorrow?
I think reasonably confident. It is generally a strength of ours, but it didn't look night and day above everyone else yesterday. So let's wait and see. It's a track where slipstreams make a big difference. The start can be pretty chaotic. So I think there's going to be a few factors at play apart from just pure pace.
All right, thank you for that. Let's open this to the floor now. As ever, name and publication. Who's first?
Luke Smith from The Athletic. Max, that pole lap here was actually the fastest lap in Formula One history. These generation of cars know we're going to get a bit slower from next year. So do we need to cherish these kind of laps while they last? And the sensation of speed around Monza, is it unlike anything else on the F1 calendar?
They are pretty decent in the high speed. They're quite quick in a straight line. Of course, the low speed, that's where we lose out compared to like the previous generation. And then on some tracks, you can do these lap records now. Honestly, I didn't even think about that when I crossed the line, but it's nice. It didn't feel too bad. I think the cars have been fun. Of course, also the new tarmac helps around here, curbing, like the curbs opened up a little bit. So I think the 2020 Mercedes is still quicker. I think if you would put it on the track now. But yeah, it's been good. At some tracks it's more fun than other tracks.
Thanks for that. Next, please.
Christian Mehnert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for you, Lando. Q3, your first try. I think you were the first car out there, so you didn't have a tow. What was the thinking behind that, and how much is a tow worth around here?
The opinion, terrible, but I have no choice. Everyone's waiting for us to go out first, really. So it's more. I'm just. I knew already on last week that I was going to have a bad Q1 because I knew I was going to have to go out the pit lane first, and that was always going to be the expectation. So it's a tough one because it's never going to be a pole lap, especially without straight line speed, which is quite a long way down on pretty much everyone. That it's impossible, to even set a competitive lap. So it's not the most reassuring thing. Doing Q1 and doing like a 19.5 pretty much, being 5.5 tenths off pole at that point. It's not the best feeling inside the car, so especially in Q3 on 2, then I knew I had a slipstream, but it's hard to know how much just the slipstream is going to help me a little bit. I don't know what it's like over a whole lap. 3 tenths or something potentially, so yeah, it's a mixture of just you have someone pushing some air in front of you, and also still a good lap. Like, it was still easily my best lap that I did. So that's why it's just difficult. But like I said, I knew last weekend that I was going to be first out on Q311, so it went exactly how I thought it would go.
Thank you, Lando. Next.
Ronald Vording, motorsport.com. Lando, can you take us back to Q2 and especially the last bits of Q2, just how much pressure was on that lap and how stressful was it? Was it from the cockpit? And also, how much did it hurt you going into Q3, maybe being out of that rhythm a little bit?
It's definitely wasn't the most comfortable I've ever been, just because I wasn't in that rhythm. So to try and put in those laps, and especially when you lock up in turn one, that's the one place you like. It's hard. You know, it kind of knocks the confidence the most. So my Q2 run, well, I did my run two. My first lap was pretty bad. It was just so close. Like, I think I improved almost a 10th, but it gained me like 6 positions or something. So yeah, it shows how such a small amount of lap time can help. But yeah, I was definitely feeling it. I mean, both in Q3 run 2 and Q2 run 2 lap 2. Yeah, not the best feelings inside the car at that point. So I think that's why I'm relatively happy to have got into Q3, because I was out for a little while, and then to kind of put it all together for Q3 run 2 as well.
Thank you. Any more? Yep.
Ed Straw from the race. Max, obviously you mentioned it's big to get pole here given the struggles last year. When you come here and you've got a car that is giving you a bit more rotation where you need it, is it a good chance to kind of gauge just how much progress Red Bull has made overall? The car's still not exactly where you want it, but does it at least prove that the underlying tools and everything all going in the right direction and bodes well for the longer term?
Yeah, I think we're making improvements on the car, but also setup-wise, I guess we found a little bit of a nicer direction. I think it's still, we need to understand more why in the race sometimes, it doesn't really translate. Like, I had quite a decent feeling in Zandvoort, but then it was really not good in the race. So I don't sit here and think that tomorrow is going to be fantastic in terms of how competitive we're going to be against McLaren. I think the whole season has shown that, yes, sometimes you can be in front in qualifying, but in the race it's very tough, to stay ahead. Sometimes on tracks maybe where it's difficult to pass. I think here you can race, so I expect it to be a tough battle, but we are making steps forward, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to learn a bit more. That hopefully also helps us next year.
Thank you. Next.
Jake Paulson, Local Sport. A question for Max, please. Max, you spoke about the changes that you've made from FP2 and FP3 and into qualifying. Would you be able to kind of elaborate on that a little bit? Is it sort of a little bit more front end? Is it something to sort of help the car feel a little bit better? Was it getting a little bit more straight line speed? What was the process there? And then secondly, on your 2 Q3 laps, I think you found half a tenth in the opening sector. Is it just like a little bit more extra bravery on the brakes? Is that something that you were working on? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say what I did on the car, but it just, gave me a better feeling, bit more, better balance. Let's say like that. 15. Let me think about that. So I mean, I think most people do that, right? Throughout the whole weekend, you always fine-tuning bits. It's not like we threw the car around. It's like tickling little things, cleaning it also. And then, honestly, in Q3, like my first lap was already pretty decent. There was no like big mistake. That's why I think my improvements were like 300-400s there, 300-400s there. So it was just like little bits. But that's also Monza for you, I think. If you don't make any big mistakes, like there's not that much lap time left then. It's like just getting, well, maybe hitting an apex a bit better or a curb. Sometimes, honestly, you gain 200-300s on the straight. You get lucky. That happens as well. And that's, I think, basically what happened a bit in my quali lap.
Thanks, Max. Any more? Yep.
Ronald Vording, motorsport.com. Question to both McLaren drivers. What's surprising you more, the fact that Red Bull is up there after Max called the car a monster at the same track last year? Or as both of you pointed out, that already since FP1 it's mega close anyway, and you don't have the margin that we got used to in recent times?
I don't know what's more. I mean, still, when you look at previous races, even when we've been so incredible in weekends, there's also been plenty where, you know, Max has beat us in a fair few races this season. He qualified ahead in many races this season. You know, like even when you look at Q3 last week in Zandvoort, it wasn't like the gaps were huge. Everyone was pretty close, you know. I don't know what the gap was for Max, a couple tenths or something. So we come to a track, we lose a tenth, and he gains a tenth, and that's all the difference is. So it's, you know, I would say it's not a surprise. It's a surprise really comparing to last year. So, but at the same time, when you have, you know, still a strong team that have won for the past many years, the drivers and just a strong team in general, you expect them to improve like they've done from last year, and also from, you know, their difficulties at the beginning of the season to where they are now. So that's it. Not a surprise, but to improve so much from where they were here last year is, you know, it's also credits to them.
I think for me, it's not a big surprise that it's much closer here. I think, you know, was Max at the top of my list of our competitors going into this weekend. I thought maybe Ferrari would be closer, but you know, that's also based off of last year. So I think generally when the competition's got close, Max has normally been the one that's been the closest. So I don't think it's a massive surprise, but compared to last year, it is a little bit.
All right, thanks both. Any more? No more? We'll leave it there. Very well done. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you.